Hello, hello, friends. How are we? Turn my volume. We are here. We are here. We are here. How are you doing today? I would love to know how you're feeling from yesterday. Let me know if you're joining me. Say hi to me. I'd love to see you and connect with you. I will try to rush out for the comments here as well. So if you were with me yesterday for day one of the last 2 days of the year, it's wild. Just to kind of take a step back, we talked about the keys of transformation. Number one was our patterns. Number two was our identity, our limited identity and our expanded identity. And then number three was being decisive. So your integration work was to go through and really think through your identity. So I shared with you when I was younger, my story, my experience, my feelings around my identity, in hopes to spark that for you of things just to change your perspective, to really get you to pause and think through your life and your experiences and how you perceive yourself, how others perceive you, how you perceive yourself. So all of these things matter in how we show up for our lives and how we show up for our goals year after year after year. And every year is a continuation of the identity that we belong to or that we choose to have. So I would love to hear anything you're feeling from yesterday in the comments here. Just let me know anything that came up for you, anything you're feeling as we move into this last day of the year. So I'm going to share my screen and just start to go through some visuals a little bit. I'm a visual person. Hopefully that's a helpful way for you guys to see things too. So let me just go to so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, let me know if you can see that okay. And then okay, so yesterday I shared about our home, our poor little home that we built. So we built this house as our first home together about it was like 5 years ago that we actually built the house. And I shared that we had this crazy house microburst happen and trees fall on our house and create tons of damage. So going back, that's that limited identity coming through. It's like, oh my gosh, this isn't going to happen. All these things come up for us, right? And then again, just sharing like this was a very traumatic experience and we could have just completely given up on what we were focusing on. That's a video of my husband like taking down the trees. It's wild. So this is when we initially were building the house. So this was our life. We had this beautiful house. We had this great space, but I was not in a good place. And we knew that things needed to change. So this was our home that we were in. Like we had a great life. We had a great home. We had a great thing going. So we really chose to get clear on our vision and what we valued. And we gave this up. We gave this life up because we knew we were destined for more. There was a greater vision for us. And this is our initial home that we built together. We had so many great memories. It was so hard to give this space up into a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear and a lot of unknowns with starting a new business. We both had corporate jobs. We both had predictable futures. We both had, again, this great home. We had so many good things in our life, but I was not in a good place emotionally, mentally, taking care of myself. Like I talked about, I was going back into these old patterns of comfort and control that were very unhealthy. So going back to yesterday, just, sharing more about that in the story I had. So what we decided to do was really change our life. This isn't always what has to happen. It's not always about just completely changing everything. But for us, this was over a 5-year period or 3-year period of really going through this, but this is the house we ended up buying last year at this point. So we went from this like big, beautiful new construction as our first home to this old, abandoned 1950s ranch. It needed so much work. It needed so much attention. It was very different from what we had, but this was what we needed to do for ourselves to create this different life, this different lifestyle, this different way we were showing up in our lives to truly live how we wanted to. So we decided to buy this home and renovate it. And it's been a year now since we renovated it. So we had, it's that old pink bathroom and all those things. There was a wall right here that closed off the kitchen, little tiny kitchen. And this is what it is now. So there was a wall there on the side. We've opened and expanded the kitchen. We just had our first open house, and it was so exciting to have our family there. But this house is, again, not where we want it to be. There's so much stuff that we still need to do, but you have to be invested in the process, in the journey of getting there. And that is what builds that momentum to keep going. So if we had said, well, we have this house, but it's not, there's so many rooms that are untouched, even the kitchen, like the hood isn't done, the backsplash isn't done, our pendants aren't done. Like there's so many things in this space that we haven't done yet. But if we were to just say, well, we'll just wait until it's perfect, until it's exactly what we want to be, we would never be able to start creating memories in this space for ourselves. And I think that's so relevant to our wellness journey, is that we wait until we think we have the perfect body, the perfect life, to be able to share that with people and be able to show up fully and be confident in who we are. We wait for that moment. And then it happens and we're like, wait, I don't really feel any different, because you didn't change what you needed to change for yourself. You weren't happy with who you are, what that person does, and really embody those characteristics and create happiness within yourself first. So this is another video of the other day. And we actually had a snowstorm that day. It was last Friday when a lot of people lost power. We have power lines that are out of ground. And when we moved into this house, everyone said, you lose power all of the time because your power lines are out of the ground. You have all these trees in your backyard. And we had blessings over us. Like we had a determined attitude to do this open house. My parents live 5 minutes down the road. They have in-ground power lines. They lost power. We didn't lose power that day. We had this amazing open house with our family. It was just right. But again, we had this, like, this is what it's going to be. This is our vision. It's going to happen no matter what. And it did. And it did. And, again, this is a continuous journey where we're evolving and growing and learning, but it's all about what you're doing with those moments that feel hard. Right? Those moments. This is a picture. I was going through pictures, and I think it's just so helpful to go back in your journey, not even from the last year, but from the last years of your life, because every year is this evolution of you. So this is a picture of me when I was starting my business, like it was a twinkle. And I did my first presentation at the yoga studio that I teach at. Nobody came. So I could have let that moment go back into that limited identity. I'm not worth it. Nobody cares. Like I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not worthy, like whatever it is. Right. And for sure that was there. Are you kidding me? That was so there. This same year too, like we just had so many crazy things happen all in that pivotal year that we were really making these changes. I remember I was going to take my dog to get groomed and pick her up, and I borrowed my dad's car to do that because our other car had gotten totaled it was parked on Saratoga on the side street. My husband was working in Saratoga at the time, and his car was parked on the side of the road. It got sideswiped, it got totaled. And so we had one car. I'm like remembering this back, like there's so many things that I had like blocked out. So I was using my dad's car to go pick up my dog. I'm at the parking lot. This Florida car backs into me. Like I'm sitting in the parking lot. I'm not even moving. And she backs in. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, what is happening? Right. And so it's my dad's car. It's not even my car. She scratches the car. I was literally I forgot about these things as I think I just block them out of like, we're going, like, we're doing this no matter what. So I'm only sharing this with you to spark that inside of you, because I know that you've had these experiences in your life. We all have, that are hard, that are like, why is this happening to me? Why, universe, why are you doing this? It feels so impossible to move through and to be there. So I really want you to ask yourself these questions right now at this point in your life, like really recognizing from the integration work that you were doing yesterday and just really being present with your journey. What is feeling out of alignment for you? Where am I feeling off track? What conversations am I avoiding? What feelings am I pushing away? What is asking for my attention? Maybe your attention is in so many places, but you are not actually paying attention to what actually needs to be addressed, which is probably how you're feeling, what you're needing. And that was so true for me, like in this chaos of going back into these very unhealthy patterns of under eating, over exercising, all these things. It was so subconscious. Like it wasn't even something I was consciously thinking or realizing. And I'll explain as we go through what were some of the things that helped me to bring this into conscious awareness. What is my anxiety wanting me to know? I think that's a really powerful question. When we feel these feelings, we all have them. Instead of looking at it as bad or as you shouldn't feel this way, what is this feeling wanting me to know? We can have a mix of emotions at all times. Like we can feel anxiety, but also feel hope and also feel excited for the future. Like those things can all coexist, but just recognizing how you're moving through those more challenging emotions and then channeling this energy into action, like using this. Anxiety is just built up energy. It's like this intense overwhelm that's just stagnant, right? So we need to move. And physically, this can help of just like going out and getting a walk or just moving your body to move the energy and to get that onto paper. Writing it out onto paper can be another really helpful thing to get it out of your brain onto paper. This was like a really pivotal time for me that I remember back 3 years ago that this was July when we decided to rent our house into our house that we had built initially, and just take a step back. And, Chris was going to open a restaurant. We had all these things and I was going to start my business. So this was in California. We were at my cousin's wedding there, and it was just a really good reflection point for us. And sometimes you need to like take yourself out of the situation physically or mentally and just really take a step back. And that's what we were talking about yesterday, zooming out to zoom in on what needs to happen next. The depth determines the output. So we have to really go deep into what this means for you. And this was, I was looking back and I had this picture that I feel it's like Chris must have taken it of me when this was a very clear moment of my life. When I started my business, I hired a business coach this day to help me. I had no idea what I was doing. I was, went to school to be a dietitian, not to be an entrepreneur. So that was a very pivotal day of just like, I'm doing this. I invested a lot of money into this that we didn't really have. And this was what I needed to do. I knew so clearly. I like remember I wanted to like vomit. I felt so sick of like just like all these feelings, right? Of just like, oh my God, this is a very uncomfortable feeling. But I also knew that discomfort was allowing me to grow. It was allowing me to step outside my comfort zone and to create these new levels of depth that I needed to do because the vision was in me. But these are the uncomfortable steps that I knew I needed to take to start that. And that was the moment for me that I did. And it was hard as hell. So I really want you to imagine what life would be like if you really aim for what you wanted. And if you don't know what you want, it goes back to what we talked about yesterday. That's why we had to start there, who you are and what you want for yourself. And I was remembering back what Melissa was saying, if this is really hard for me to identify who who my identity, my authentic self is, because as a child, I was so, I didn't have a voice. I didn't have confidence. You don't even remember what that identity was for you. So congratulations, you can literally create that for yourself now. Like, you have a choice right now. If you are very unsure of what that even means to you, you can create that now, regardless of how old you are. You have this choice. This is your decision. And when people are telling you who you are your whole entire life, it can feel like, well, is this who I really am? Only you can decide that. Only you can ultimately decide if this is who you identify as. And if they say it's who you are and you feel that way, then it's true. And if they say that's who you are and you don't feel that way, it's not true. You decide. So I really want you to like visualize this for yourself. What would life be like if you aim for what you really wanted? When I was working my corporate job and, commuting back and forth an hour or with traffic, sitting there and then going all night working as well, and, taking care of all these other aspects of life, it felt so distant, but I could see it. I could see it, and I wasn't really sure how it was going to happen, but I could see it. And sometimes we just have to start there. What does it really feel like to actually live this way? You have to embody this feeling for yourself. What does it feel like deep down in your core to actually live as this person? Who is that person showing up as each day? And you have to like feel this for yourself. And this is the person that you're showing up as in the next steps, in the future, in going forward in your life. What will you do? And this is the decisive part of you saying, this is what I'm doing, not this is what I want to do. This is what I hope to do. This is what would be nice. This is, if everything worked out, this would be great. That's hope. It's hope, which is good. It's good to have hope, but it's not deciding, right? You have to really put your back against the wall and say, this is what I'm doing, and having that staying power. What is giving you that staying power? Who is the person that you need to become to reach these goals? What are the habits that you need to embody? What are the qualities that they have? What does their day look like? What are they doing each day of their life? When they wake up, what's the first thing they're doing? Are they grabbing their phone and consuming external news and social media and what everybody else is doing? Or are you getting up and deciding how your day is going to go first? Are you doing things in your day to support you and how you want to feel? Or are you just doing things for everybody else all day long and putting your needs at the very, very bottom of the list and hoping they'll get done one day? If you're choosing to show up in that way, then of course it's not going to happen, right? We have to really reassess of how that person is acting and behaving, those patterns, right? What routines do they have? What are they doing in a daily rhythm for themselves? Who do they spend time with? Sometimes we need to edit our environment. Our environment has relationships. It has what we're inputting, what we're consuming, what we're reading, what we're watching, the advertisements we're watching, what we're taking in. It can be your environment too of your home. Like if your home feels very cluttered and a mess, like that can feel that way for you too. Staying focused on the process. Most of the time, we are in the process. Very little of our time in our life is spent in the outcome. It's like minutes, hours, a day that we actually are like, oh my gosh, I'm here. And then we are like, what's next? Right? We're happy for like a few minutes, and then what's next? So if we can, so much of our life is in this, like the process, it's in the void, it's in the discomfort, it's in the negative space, that black space. So how can we be consistent with how we define ourselves so we continue to show up in the process? When talking about going through the home renovation, why were we so determined to continue to do the very hard things to get there? And we're in a better place, but we're not even still there. It's the process that you have to be so invested in, and how you define yourself in that process. It's how you talk to yourself. So rather than saying, I am a procrastinator, I am a failure, I'll never do this, I'm not that person, guess what? That's what you're going to show up as. You are going to be constantly procrastinating. You're constantly going to fail when you try to do something for yourself. Rather than saying, I procrastinated today, but I can choose to do something differently in the future, right? It's not your identity. You are not that. You maybe made a choice that was that, but that doesn't mean that's the trajectory of your life, right? It's not. It's so important how you're talking to yourself. You're with yourself the whole time. Does your environment match your goals? Look around you. If you are hanging out with people that are behaving in ways that you know are not helpful in how you want to feel and show up, if you're hanging out with people that are just constantly overeating and over drinking, and it makes it harder for you to make better choices for yourself, it's not that you have to not be friends with those people, but maybe just look at editing how you're spending time with those people. Look at who you can surround yourself with that are doing the things that you also want to be doing in your life. And it's just about editing your circle, right? You're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And it's so true. The people you're surrounding yourself with are typically the habits you're engaging in. It's way harder to do the one different thing that the 4 other people are doing, right? If you're the one person that's always doing something different than those people, it's harder. It's not impossible, but it's certainly making it harder on yourself. And there's other people that are in alignment with what you want to do. It's just fun. It can be hard, but having that support, having that environment that's supporting you is going to help you get there faster. Having that proximity with anything in your life. This can be with your health journey. This can be with, starting a business for myself. In the beginning, I had to surround myself with people that were doing this. If I was around people that were, just in the 9 to 5 process, and I was trying to do things completely differently, it's not in alignment, right? It's just making me feel like this is impossible, and nobody else is seeing this as an option. So in order to launch your year, we have to take a look at your 1-year goal and what is this vision for you? But then we have to think backwards, because it can feel very overwhelming when you say, okay, I want to lose 50 pounds. I want to buy this house and renovate it. I want to, whatever that long-term launch for yourself, think big, but then how do we backward design? What am I going to do this month? What am I going to do this week? What am I going to do today? What am I going to do now? Maybe I'm going to go drink a glass of water. Maybe I'm going to have a breakfast that's going to support me. What is the one step, the one action you can take to support yourself in taking that step? I'm going to pause there for a second, and just when I share my screen, I can't see the comments. So I'm just going to pause here for a second and see how we are doing. Just give me 1 second. Limited identity. Okay. Hi, Molly. So good to see you. Letting fear and anxiety drive my decision making. Yes. Hi. James Clear says 1% better every day. I love that. So good. Okay. So I'm going to keep going here. I just wanted to check in. I got too many things going on. Okay. So I'm going to go back to share my screen because I want to keep going with this. Yeah. So 1% better is drink a glass of water, do the one thing. And I just think we have to be honest with with where we're at, because we can't expect to move forward if we're the same exact person in the same environment with the same habits, the same lifestyle, the same mindset, the same knowledge. You are not changing as like who you are with your values and what you believe, but you have to change other aspects of your life sometimes to really make those waves, where the first step is just like throwing the pebble in the water and it's making those ripples, right? It's making ripples that starts to build, but now we start to create those waves of change. Reaching your goals is about becoming the person you need to become to sustain your goal long term. You're becoming this person that does this. You are the person that shows up for yourself. You are the person that makes these choices. You are the person that keeps promises that you make to yourself. You are the person that commits to what you say you will. And this is really the process of what I am working through with my nutrition clients. So this is the roadmap essentially that we're working through together. So when I'm thinking back to when I was really struggling with not taking care of myself from a nutrition and exercise standpoint, the first thing I really need to do is to create that awareness, that self-awareness, because again, I was just going through the motions every day. And I wasn't even aware of what I was doing. Honestly, it was not even intentional. It was that control that I was seeking, and it was being shown through those actions. So the first thing I did is start to track my nutrition. What am I even eating during the day? So often we're just not even aware of like what we're actually doing or not doing to support us. And this is one of the first things that I have my nutrition clients do, is start creating that awareness in your life. And I have this great platform that we use with a food and lifestyle journal. So we're getting data collection. It's all just collecting data of your own current habits right now. Where are we at now before we can start just making all these changes? Because we have to be realistic with where you're starting to start making realistic changes. So we start to look at, what is my nutrition looking like? And after really paying attention to that for myself, I was like, wow, I didn't realize this, until seeing that tangibly. So that was one of the first steps that helped me. So we look at nutrition. What's our intake looking like during the day? What time are meals? How are your hunger cues, your fullness cues, digestion, energy, sleep, mood? All of these things impact that. So we really have to start to create that awareness in the beginning. And we're looking at your beliefs, that positive thinking, all these things we're talking about right now. And then we just start to create consistency and compliance with basic steps. What is the 1 or 2 low-hanging fruit that we can grab from what we identify as a starting point? So we have this data from the past, few days that we have of what your lifestyle is looking like. I have them do a full nutrition assessment and lifestyle assessment. So from all of that information, we're really getting deep into where a realistic starting point that you can start to create those ripples in the water. You're learning more about what your individual needs are with portions, understanding macronutrients and how these play a role in your health and satiety, and how to fuel your body, managing blood sugar so you have sustained energy during the day. And this is directly going to affect your mood and your energy and how you feel and how you show up in your everyday. We're just getting feedback from the data that we're collecting through our coaching calls together, through the check-in sheets that I have my clients do, through your food journaling that I'm giving you feedback around. We're evaluating what things are we doing that are positively moving us forward towards this goal. What things are we doing that are still limiting us that we can replace to better move forward. And this can take, a few months together, but with my experience, with my journey, we can really collapse time together because of all of the support that you have with me alongside of you, really prompting this, rather than you trying to figure it out and do all this research and feel overwhelmed and what worked for this person and what worked for this person. It's about you. Your story is beautiful. You are right where you're supposed to be. But we have to be realistic also. And having that one-on-one support is invaluable to meet you where you're at. Then we start to create this evolution. So we start to check in more with these biofeedback markers. This is a huge indicator of health outside of even the scale. Looking at your stress management habits, what sleep is like, what digestion is feeling like, energy, mood, hunger, fullness. So often people are disconnected with what it feels like to be hungry versus satisfied, because typically it's either I'm ravenous and starving or stuffed and completely overly full. It's those extremes ends of the pendulum. And we're working to find this beautiful middle ground here. We start to implement what food prep and planning looks like in your schedule, in your life, because this is different for everybody. If you work out of the house, what those meals look like are going to be different than if you work at home. Whether you have kids, how many people you're cooking for, all these things matter in how you create meals that are supportive for you. There's no right way or one way. What your ability is becoming to listen and respond to your body's cues. Your body is brilliant. It is built for survival and it wants to support you. But for so long, you are disconnecting from it because you're so consumed with external things, with just getting through the motions, with helping everyone and everything else in your life, but connecting with yourself. This is one of the biggest pieces. Excuse me, one second. And then we start to just continue to gain feedback. It's all about continuing to gain feedback. What's working? What's not? How can we incorporate this routine into your life in a way that supports you? This is just that evolutionary process. And this is not linear. It's not like, okay, this is exactly how it's going to happen. It's a constant journey through this. And it takes different lengths of time depending on where you're at. Then after these points, you start to see more of the results in the sense of, wow, this feels different. I'm showing up differently. You're utilizing the tools that we work through, that you start to feel more confident with navigating how it feels to eat out and travel and go through holidays and events in a way that also feels supportive for you as a person. So rather than just what everybody else is always doing and just doing that because everybody else is doing it, you're really self-aware of what your needs are and how you act in relation to that wherever you are, which is the coolest feeling. And eventually we do start to move away from the tracking methods, the data collection, all of these things we had to do in the beginning to almost relearn how to support yourself, how to eat in a way that's fueling your body, that feels satisfying, to build adequate meals. What that looks like for you, we have to learn. It's a skill in the beginning. It takes a little more effort and thoroughness, but then it starts to become more part of your routine. It becomes natural. It becomes what you do. So we can move away from the training wheels, from the tracking methods, from those pieces that we've used in the beginning, because these are becoming more part of your routine. You're starting to feel just more confident in the way that you're getting dressed and how you show up and how you are talking to yourself and respecting your body and building habits that support you. You're feeling like you're working towards maintaining this progress. You know how to build meals that support you. You have the ability to maintain this progress that you've created and continue to move forward towards your goals. This is where it starts to create those connections of like, wow, this is actually happening for me. But see how we had to go through all these other phases first before that happens. Oftentimes we want the results before we do any of these other things. And that's a huge part of the problem, is you're just focusing on the result instead of the process, instead of the awareness and the evolution. And then the momentum happens. Again, we're like, I need motivation, I need momentum, I need results. But these happen after we do the other parts. So momentum is really where we're creating this momentum. We feel the results, but it's normal that something happens in your life, right? Stressors happen, life changes, all these different things that I spoke of yesterday that changed in my life. And I started to go back to these old comforts. This is the normal part of growth. I can't emphasize that enough. It's normal to go back into these habits. The difference is you're not starting from scratch. You're not starting all over again. You're learning from these challenges. You're reassessing. You're creating a plan to navigate moving forward, and you're getting up intelligently. That is the difference. You are so much more able to bounce back faster, right? When these moments happen, maybe in the past, that limited identity would talk really loud for days and weeks and months. But now you're so clear in your own expanded, authentic self that that's what speaks louder and moves you faster through those moments when the limited identity is loud. You're able to bounce back faster. Maybe it's a few hours that you feel that way. Maybe it's a day. And you give yourself that space and time. It's okay to feel that way. We have to feel those uncomfortable moments, but you're not staying there as long. That is the difference. You really have the tools, you have the skills, you have the ability to move forward in those moments. You can navigate those barriers that cross your path. You've proven to yourself that you've achieved what you wanted to. You are confident you can maintain your progress, and now you're ready for the next thing. Because you dream so big and you're like, I did this, but now it's great, but I can do more. This is the powerful part about this journey. So then we go back to creating this awareness again. It's like, okay, so now I have to go to this next level of myself. Where am I at? And what are the new skills I need to learn? What are the new habits I need to embody? Who is this person that I need to become to show up as? And that's the journey. That's really the journey of that transformation. So to coming back to those keys of transformation, it's our patterns, are the collection of the behaviors and habits, unshakable identity, the strongest force you have in your human personality. Let your expanded, your authentic self speak louder. And decide what you want for yourself. And I recognize this is not the easy part, but I want you to thank your younger self. This is little Jenny. And I have this picture in my office, which I have not hung up yet. And I just took a picture of it as I was looking at it. It's right here. And my mom took this picture of me when I was young. Gosh, I don't even know how old I was, maybe 9, something like that. But this is my own reminder every day. I'm hanging it right in like the part of my office that I can see of thank you. Thank you, younger self, for having this greater vision of who you were and what you wanted and never giving up on that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, younger self. And I'm so excited for that expanded level of me that's ready to rise, that's ready to let go of the limitations, the self-imposed limitations that I have set upon myself, and rise into the possibilities of my life. So that is my message for you. And let me know how you're feeling right now in this moment. I'm just stopping to share my screen. That is the main things I wanted to talk about in this second day, the last day of the year. So how are we feeling? If you have gotten what you needed from this transmission, I want to thank you so much for being here. I completely value your time, your effort, your attention, and your presence, because I know your schedule is busy, and I'm so grateful for that. But I am also just going to share with you future offerings. If you are like, this is the vibe, this is what I need, I have this feeling inside of me that I need the support and I'm connected to you. If you feel like, we're vibing and this is the message you're needing to hear, I just want to share with you other offerings I have in my world. And I have different levels of working together, depending on your comfort level, because I really want to meet you where you're at in your journey and what that means to you. Let me just exit. Okay. So if you'd like to hang for a few extra minutes, I'm just sharing future offerings. So from lowest investment, I'm so excited in January to share. I'm reopening Falling Back into Your Rhythm, which is a 21-day experience where we're really looking at getting back into the rhythm, the patterns, the routines that support you in your life and how you want to feel. It's about just taking those small steps forward with your nutrition, with your sleep, with your movement patterns. It's about starting to create that awareness that we talked about in the beginning fundamental stages of where you're at and what those small changes you can start making for yourself to get back into the rhythms that you know that support you. Because so often when we're in the survival phase of our life, our basic needs are the first things to go, right? Those things that are really supporting to take care of ourselves are the first things to go to the bottom, and we're not eating in a way that supports us, or sleeping in a way, or drinking enough water, or moving, or those respectful things for ourselves. So it's getting back into those rhythms, looking at how we eat, why we eat, what we eat. Those are really the main pillars of learning about. So there's 3 weeks of modules and content related to that. There's meal guides. My winter meal guide is in there. So tons of recipe ideas to get that spark and inspiration. The trainings are recorded so you can watch them at your own pace. You have access to messaging me. You have access to Better, which is the platform I use. So you have all this data collection that you're doing for yourself. After those 21 days, you can move forward on your own, or you can look at further working together if you're like, wow, I've created some awareness that I need further support with, and we can talk about what that looks like. So that 21-day experience, Falling Back into Rhythm, $111. It's such a great value for being able to take this step for yourself in a very realistic way and getting that support. My next offering is the Essence of Nutrition and Wellness, my foundational signature program, an 8-week experience. Each module is looking at the fundamental pieces of nutrition and wellness. And this is all about supporting your metabolism, your hormones, managing your time, meal planning, working through those mindset and belief patterns, why dieting doesn't work, what we can do differently, looking at progress beyond the scale, emotional eating, like all of these aspects that are so foundational in creating that change for your life in the long term. You're going to have full access to the data collection platform that we have, messaging with me. These are all recorded. There's audio, video, and written content. I really try to cater to all of these different learning styles that best support you at your own pace. And then my highest ticket is one-on-one coaching. This is if you're really ready to deep dive together, have that personal support, talk through barriers, have someone really look at what you're doing in your life now and supporting you to move forward towards your goals and what that means to you. And this is really investing. I have people committing to at least 6 months together so we can really do life together. At that point, there's lower investment options that we can continue to move forward together and support you in your goals in whatever way that looks like. So yes, a lot of people have the weight loss as the goal, but that's really just the outcome of all of these other behaviors that they're doing to show up for their life in a supportive way. It could be digestion that you're struggling with, whether that's your IBS or just all these different things. You're like, something's not right and I need support. I need someone to look at what I'm doing and give me that feedback to feel better and have sustained energy and show up for my life and all those things that really matter, right? It's like just feeling confident in what works for you and what your body needs and how to support yourself in this season of your life is absolutely, absolutely invaluable. So those are the different tiers. Falling Back into Rhythm, 21 days, $111. Essence of Nutrition and Wellness, 8 weeks, $333. And then high ticket coaching, we'll have a discovery call together, talk through what that process looks like, make sure it's a good fit, and decide which investment is best for you. You can invest into the 6 months or do monthly payments. So if you have any questions, I would love to chat with you personally. I know this is a lot to share that's vulnerable and hard to share. So thank you for doing the work. Thank you for showing up. And my hope is that this sparks something inside of you to take that next step, to take that action in whatever way that means for you. And if it's not me that's supporting you, that's fine, but get the support that you need to make that step forward in your life in this year. I am so grateful for you. I am so honored that you spent this almost hour of your day on the last day of the year. And I really hope that you are ready to show up for the year ahead. Feeling good, ready to invest in the process. Yes, Molly, I'm so excited for you Molly's ready. She is ready for this. And I'm so excited to do life with you together as well. So I will let you be in the rest of your day. And I just really encourage you to take this time for yourself to go through the questions that I prompted you throughout our time together. I will post them as well for integration work, some of those key questions about who that person is, what the qualities are, what you have to embody to show up as that person. And take some time today to really just reflect on that and write through that and process that information for yourself, because you are the only person that can decide that. You have the answers already inside of you. It's just about unlocking that and showing up fully for yourself, for your life. I love you. I'm grateful for you. And I am so excited for your future. I will see you on the flip side, friends.